Hey there, everyone. We are back with the final part of the 2016 Q&A, and it's the final part because I'm gonna finish it today, and also because 2016 is over, and I didn't want to continue doing it past 2016, so it's done. So if you got more questions, save them for years later when I do another one of these things. So let's get into this so I can finish it. First, we've got Denzel Romero is asking me, "Have you played Killer 7? If so, did you like it?" I've played Killer 7 and I like it. That's it's a good game. It's a it's a game I haven't played in a really long time though, so like it could be I could like it in retro. Yeah, I could like it because of nostalgia and not so much because it's awesome now, but I'm pretty sure it still holds up. Though I haven't played it in like more than 10 years, 15 years probably. I haven't played it. But yeah. So let's. Oh, wow. That jumped a bit. Wow, I get a lot of questions. Okay, so that's Denzel Romero. Thanks for the question. We've got OT4. Hashtag Retro Gaming is a long time commenter on this channel and someone I always like to hear from. So, got a bunch of very long questions. Um, and they're not it's not a lot of questions, it's just they're really long, so let's hop into these. um he's okay. First one: don't really want to bring in politics into your cast. You said you don't watch much TV. How about news? um well, I don't watch news. Like, I don't watch news, I read news because it's faster. But I tend to um read news sites and, figure out what's going on from that. It's just easier, faster. And then I have like news apps on my phone that I use when I'm sitting around the train. But he's continuing on with this. I heard there's a lot of going on in the East China Sea with the islands, and there's a lot of tension with China building artificial islands to get borders more far out and stuff. There seems to be a lot of tension with Korea and China in the last years. No need to comment on if you just hear some about it in daily life in Japan. There is, I don't know, there's kind of a mutual kind of dislike between China and Japan, and it's not, and it's much more dislike level on China and Korea, for example, against Japan. Whereas Japan is just kind of like, some people in Japan don't like China and Korea, but I think they feel like these guys hate us for no reason. And like, it's not really no reason, but it's kind of like a reason that nobody who is really alive today is is worrying about. Um, but I don't know. Whatever. It's the kind of thing where I feel like, um, you know, it's a bit unwarranted, and China is really aggressive with things like the Sea of Japan and trying to drill oil there and stuff. It's that kind of stuff where they're just being kind of incredibly aggressive. So I could see why Japan is doing things like trying to build their own military, which is probably a mistake, but I could see why they would want to. So next question is, by the way, you speak about Nintendo. What's your opinion on Pokemon, especially now that Pokemon Go seems to be everywhere? How is it in Japan? Um, I heard they had to remove Pokemon from Fukushima because some guys were going there. I'm not a Pokemon person. I only played the original ones on the GB Classic, and I hope I will find time to play more remakes on GBA. Um, okay, so that's the question. How is Pokemon? What is my opinion on Pokemon? Well, I've only played the first Pokemon. I played Pokemon Red, and that's it. I never played another one after that. Pokemon came out when I was fully an adult, doing adult things. I think it came out when I was 20. Um, and I played it and I thought, well, this is a simple RPG that it wasn't bad, but not my kind of thing. And then I never played another one. And I'm sure they're more complicated now than the first one, obviously, but like, still, I can't like be bothered to care about those. So I haven't played a Pokemon game since like 1998 or something, whatever I played the first one. So it's been a long time. And I played Pokemon Go for a while though. It was pretty big when it first came out, but I think it's pretty much cooled off everywhere. I don't used to see it all the time, people playing it, but now I don't see anybody playing it ever. So Pokemon Go. It was hot for like a month. Um, I didn't hear that they removed Pokemon from the Fukushima area, but that makes sense because you don't want people going in there to catch Pokemon like idiots. Um, okay, this one's an extra long one. So he's one question I have is about your move to Japan. You said you got lucky many times and so on, but without getting into personal stuff, how did you plan for going to Japan? Did you look up the language school and how much did it cost? And you moved back to Japan after 1 year there. All did you have the intention to move back and stay in Japan? Well, I guess I'll answer those and continue with it afterwards. Um, Initially I planned to go to Japan by just like getting rid of all my stuff and moving. And that sounds dumb, but it's the kind of thing where like um I went I went in like all or nothing kind of thing. So like if I moved to Japan, if I moved here and like I failed somehow, I'd have no place to go. So I had to make it work. Um and that's what I did. I just like sold my car, sold like got rid of a bunch of stuff and just kind of dove headfirst into living in a country where I didn't really speak the language and didn't know many people. So I that's what I did. And then like when I got here, I didn't have a language school. It didn't. I did have a place to live, um, but I didn't have a language school, and I had a work visa. So in my first like 2 weeks or so after I like got all moved in, I found a language school, just the closest one to my house, and um, started going there. And that was it. And I mean, so after I had stayed for a year when I had studied abroad, I stayed in Japan, and yeah, I had pretty much intended to come back after that. I just really enjoyed it, and I wanted to come back for other reasons that didn't quite pan out. But like most of the reason I came back was just because like I really wanted to learn another language, and I wanted to live outside of the U.S. and that's what I did. So, hmm, um, okay, okay. So he's asking next. Are there tests that need to everyone needs to do to successfully getting working visa in Japan? No, you don't actually have to a language test or anything. There's no kind of test, but if you have a college degree, you can basically get a visa for something. And like it doesn't really matter what. So, for example, if you have a college degree, you can probably work at like as a language teacher. And working as a language teacher is easy because it's a kind of job that doesn't really require any experience and they're always looking for people. So it's an easy way to get a visa even if you're not going to do the job. So you could, get the job and move to Japan and then like just leave after a week or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months if wanted to do something else. You'd have a visa already. I mean, albeit like only a 1 year visa at that point, but you know, if you found another job willing to support you, you could probably move to any other type of job. So it'd be, pretty good, pretty easy to do, and it's not that bad. Um, so next question is, um, let's see, asking me that I told a story about meeting yakuza a bunch of times, like yakuza dudes, and they were nice to me. That's always happened. Like every time I've ever met any type of yakuza guy, and they look like they literally came out of the yakuza games, but they've always been super nice. I have no complaints about any of my interactions with yakuza looking people. They've always been really nice to me and have invited me places and that kind of stuff. Like they're really friendly. So it's the kind of thing where, um, you know, I don't know. I guess like obviously there's probably involved in some kind of criminal activity, but you know, the front facing part of them is actually pretty nice. Um, and last question is, do you give gifts to your neighbors or introduce yourself to them? In Japan, that's a thing, right? I personally do not because like it's I don't nobody not everybody does that, but like when I like for example in the last place I lived, like no one did that except like the last person who moved in before I left did like stop by and drop off a gift and say hello. It's nice, but like it's the kind of thing where like people are wary of talking to me usually like if they can't speak English, I guess. If only because like they don't know that I can speak Japanese. So like just randomly showing up at people's door is like the kind of thing where like I'd feel like it'd be like more awkward than anything, more awkward than it's worth. So I just don't bother. I'm sure it would be all right though. Let's see. So next we've got Cole McGrath is asking what's a good way to learn Japanese. Study? No, actually, the way I learned Japanese is I went to language school, so I had to study every day in a class where the entire class was taught in Japanese, and none of the other people in the class could speak English. So basically, if I wanted to talk to anybody or wanted to do anything in class, I had to use Japanese. That's it. That was like when you're like kind of thrown into the deep end. You gotta swim. So that was like worked for me. So next we've got Andrew Advent is asking thoughts on Sliders, the TV series. I actually really like Sliders, the TV series, for the most part. So like, I remember when Sliders first came out, and I watched the first episode. Like, I was really interested in it, and I watched it, and I thought this is a really good show. It's really interesting, and the first season is really good, and the second season is okay, and then like it starts to go downhill, and like when they get to the end where they're fighting like the like dimension traveling Cro-Magnon men, that one is like the it's where it gets way down. That's like the last season for that. I mean, they show up a little bit in the season before the last, but like that last season, man, yeah. But otherwise, it's a pretty good series. I like that series. Um, Next question, Jacuzzi Splot is asking me, have you ever played any games in the Atelier? Atelier actually is the pronunciation, but nobody knows what it is unless I say Atelier series, so I'm going to say it that way. Um, I've played um, one game in that series, no, two games in that series, but they're all really old ones. I played one on the Sega Saturn, if that gives you any idea, and I have one for the maybe Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. I don't know, maybe it's Game Boy Advance. So I haven't really played that many of those games. They're not for me. I'm not like a crafting kind of game guy. Let's see. Zero Escape fan 99 Zero Escape 999 fan. Don't you ever get tired of these never-ending Q&As? I'm not really tired of it. I could do these forever, but like I'm just too lazy to change the title of all of them now to 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 be something different. So I'd have to go back and like change them from Q&A 2016 to Q&A like never ending or something, and I'm just too lazy to do that for like 20 videos, so I'm going to finish it. Next we've got Sega CD Universe back again, that bastard Mike. Uh, okay, what is the weirdest video game you've ever played? Something where you question yourself for playing it and just burst into laughter. Um, the weirdest game? That's hard. Um, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like I've played LSD and that's a weird ass game. Um, and I don't know, but I want to think that there's probably stuff weirder than that. But maybe there's not. I mean, that's kind of like a legendarily weird game. So, I'll go with that. Whatever. It's LSD. That's a pretty good choice anyway because it's a weird game. Next, we've got BBR Hino 100 is asking, or it's probably BB Rhino, right? Whatever. But what do you like about what don't you like about the developer level 5? You know what I don't like about level 5 mostly is that it, like most of their games, have kids as the protagonists, which I hate. But also, they all of their stuff feels like it's not marketed towards me. It feels like it's for kids, and not like because it's simple, it's for kids. It feels like the tone of it is for kids, and it doesn't like it never captures me. I always feel like, regardless of like the content, the tone is too kiddie for me for level 5, so I just can't get into it. Next, Alonso Palma Garrido is asking me, how much do you like the Bad Brains? I don't dislike Bad Brains. I like them, but like, you know, they have so many different albums, and like they get worse, and they became Soul Brains and did that all that stuff, and like, man, screw that. I like Sailing On though. That's a really good song. Um, but I like Bad Brains a little bit, but not that much. Next question: Rites of Spring or Embrace? Embrace. Uh, Question three: SMT3, 4, or Strange Journey? In all honesty, I'd pick Strange Journey out of those three. And I like all those games. I just think Strange Journey is the closest to like one or two. So next is favorite eShop game. It's actually P-Cross. Um, I buy all the P-Cross games. I have like 7 or 8 of them are on my from the eShop now. Um, I love those games. I can't stop playing them once I start. But also Mercenary Saga is a good one. Mercenary Saga 2 and 3, both really fun. They're like kind of low rent Final Fantasy Tactics, which is nice. So next we've got Funky Loiso or Loiso, I don't know, whatever. Questions, 5 questions. Video games seem like a great medium to tell stories, but I always end up with a feeling that books are deeper and more powerful. Can you name some games that are on equal with literature in terms of plot? Um, hmm, hmm. In terms of plot, you know, I really like the stories for the Yakuza games, but I feel like they're more like a movie than a book. So it's not exactly the same. But there are things like I think like Shin Megami Tensei, the first one, it has a story that is um based on a book, but it's like a different kind of story altogether. But I really enjoy that story. I think like the idea of it is really good. The way the story moves along is really good, and I think it covers a lot of themes that are really deep, and you can find things in it that are interesting, like literature is. So it's not a very straightforward story in all cases of it. So like, I mean, the story is simple to understand, sort of simple to understand, I guess, but it's not so straightforward. Like Final Fantasy story is usually good, but really straightforward. And I'm thinking like this. Let me rephrase that because that's not actually true. I'm thinking something like Final Fantasy 4 or something. It's pretty straightforward, but like, it's not incredibly deep. It's the kind of thing where like it's a good story, but it's not like something you're gonna be like trying to find hidden meaning in. It's very like I was talking to somebody the other day about Harry Potter, the series, like the book series. Like the difference between reading a book by like like you're gonna like read a book by Umberto Eco or something. You're gonna have to like read it pretty deeply. You're gonna have to think about a lot of the stuff and why these things are happening in these certain ways. But if you read like Harry Potter or something, it's really a quick read, even though like it's thousands and thousands of pages for all of them. like you can read through them really quickly because you don't have to think about anything that's going on. It's very straightforward. Everything that happens is happens, and like it's all explained why. So it's the kind of thing where it's very easy to read those, whereas like everything else, like some other types of like more adult literature is the kind of thing where it's more difficult. So that think about that in terms of games, um, for the kind of story. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but that that's it, I guess. Let's see. Do you follow any content creators? Name some if so. Um, Content creators on YouTube? I follow a bunch of people. Well, I mean, I have like hundreds of subs, but like, I don't know. I tend to I tend to watch I don't know, various things on YouTube. I don't watch a lot. And surprisingly, I don't really watch a lot of gaming stuff on YouTube anymore. It's not incredibly interesting. Like I watch Happy Console Gamer all the time. Like every time he puts up a video, I watch those. Pete Dorr, like for I mean, these are for big YouTubers, I guess. Big, comparatively big compared to me, big. But then I just like watch channels of people I like. So I watch like Vampire Mike, Sega CD Universe, and I watch PlayOngo. And like I'm always excited. Like when PlayOngo puts up videos, I'm always really excited. Um, I always like his videos a lot. I like I like people like Crack Lotus and stuff. He's fun to listen to, even though he's you know I think maybe he comes off as cranky to people, but like to me, I just like his personality. I think he's a good guy, and like these are like just gaming people I like. But I watch a bunch of stupid stuff too. Like I'm trying to think of this. Let me look at my. I'll do that. I'll open the old YouTube, and we'll see what kinds of stuff I am subscribed to because I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I know I have like a giant subscription list. So let's see. Oh, another good show I like to watch on YouTube is the OSW Review, which is the old school wrestling review. It's like British dudes reviewing like old wrestling pay-per-views. It's a pretty good. It's a really funny show. Like I often find myself laughing out loud at some of the things they say. So that's a good one. Um, I listen to um a couple of like To Catch a Predator related stuff where it's just like people doing analysis of To Catch a Predator chat logs and things. It's probably not interesting to anybody unless you're like a big fan of To Catch a Predator, but it's just kind of funny to listen to those sometimes. And I listen to like I listen to Muzzle Down Press does a podcast, like a horror writers podcast that I listen to. Um, I list. I'm looking through my list here of people that Kid Shoryuken I like. He's kind of like my buddy here in Japan. We go see wrestling sometimes. Um, let's see. I listen to the Hoax Hotel, which is pretty funny channel. It's like a dude who talks to scammers online. Um, trying to look through these. I looked through. I listened to a bunch of political stuff too. Um, I listened to like Sargon of Akkad and some other people, Harmful Opinions, but they do gaming stuff too. So it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm subscribed. Um, let's see. Listen to like some science stuff. There's a great channel. Puddler 54 is a really good one. Miles Power I listen to, who does like debunking of kind of like new age stuff, which I enjoy. Um, I don't know. That's kind of it. I mean, that's like an example of the stuff that I listen to. Um, I'm subscribed to some Japanese channels too. Um, there's a channel called Mudadzukuri, which is like this chick who makes these ridiculous inventions that are like really stupid, and they're just, they're really stupid because they're supposed to be. But sometimes they're funny, so it's the kind of thing where I just watch that. And I subscribe to a bunch of like Warhammer related channels. MC1 Gamers, this other guy I subscribe to, who's a Warhammer guy, and I don't know. Mini Wargaming, I think, is one. Tabletop Minions. I'm looking through these, and yeah, that's, like that kind of stuff. Of course, like Games of War, who I used to do podcasts with, a bunch of people. So I do sub to a lot of people, and I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. Mostly I just listen, though. I almost watch nobody's videos, but I listen to stuff when I'm at work, while I'm, doing my work. So that kind of stuff. There it is. We'll continue because I'm going to run out of time, and I got a lot of questions left. Do you experience existential crises? And if so, how do you justify your own purpose on such an occasion? I don't really. I'm not really worried about stuff like that, I guess. Like sometimes I've had points where I felt like, what the hell am I doing? And that's like it's really rare though. It's like, it happened like last year or so, and then like all I just decided was like, oh well, I should do all this other stuff, and then like this year was my year of doing all that other stuff that I decided I should do. So yeah, that's I guess it does happen. I just like seek to fix whatever caused the crisis. Next is, what motivates you to work on your own projects? That's hard because like I'm never motivated to do anything. Like I have no motivation. I'm like the least motivated person ever. But I think eventually I have like like an inner need to make stuff, feel like I have to do something creative, and like whether that what form that comes in it is like completely different depending on the day. But like, today I'm making a YouTube video. That's creative. But I think like completing something, the kind of good feeling you get, the thumbs up feeling you get from finishing a project or finishing something is nice. So I think that's probably a lot of the motivation to continue doing more. So next question, technology is progressing fast. Would you work hard to earn money to invest into your life extension immortality if such opportunities surface? Sure. I mean, if I had that kind of money, like I had a bunch of money and I could, yeah, I don't know, transport my body into a clone body or something like that, hell yeah, I'd do that. Or like, whatever, put my brain in a jar in a robot, fuck yeah, I'd do that. All of that sounds good to me. I guess that makes me a transhumanist. I'm not actively a transhumanist, but I guess like what I just said makes me one. So, okay, I guess I'm down with that. So yeah, next questions are from Jolly Good, who is producing his final set of questions, which is a lot of questions. Hopefully, I'll be able to get through them. I've got like a weird message popped up on here. There we go. So I'm going to try and blaze through these because, man, when people asked you, how did you get into the SMT series, you answered there was a chick you used to date at the time who introduced you to it. And my question is, did you play it in Japanese or was it patched in English? And what year was it? I don't remember the year exactly, but it was definitely in Japanese. So it was after I moved to Japan. And yeah, I mean, I guess that answers that. I don't remember the exact year, but I played it in Japanese, and it was all right. So it must have been after 2006 at least. So let's see. Next, are you planning to do a project in the future with your drawings and or writing that would eventually take part in something more big, like a video game or something similar? I had I have like a design document already written up for a game that I wanted to make. It's kind of a strategy RPG, but and I guess like I could do the art for it too. It's not like I don't know how that would work, but you know, if I could, that's what I would do. But you know, I don't know how to program or anything. I don't know how to make a game. So it's the kind of thing where like I have all the design documents and like how things should work. I just don't know how to do it. And I could do the art for it, but I again, it's the kind of thing where like, you know, how motivated am I going to be to do all that? I mean, it could work out. I mean, I sometimes I get bizarre spurts of motivation, but it seems like I wouldn't have it long enough to actually complete something like that. And I'd like to. I mean, I could get people to do the music, could do stuff like that, but it's, you know, what do you do? I'd need someone else to do it with me because like I'd need someone to at least be like, dude, you got to do this work, and then I would do it. Um, Next question: do you ever get the fear that maybe there is something out there that you could be enjoying more than you are enjoying now, or something similar to that fear of death? Um, Not really. You know, like I'm sure there are things I could be doing that would be better or more fun or more exciting, but you know, like you can't really worry about um, things you're not doing. You can only really worry about the things you are doing. Um, you know, there's like a saying that like, you know, like if you're at a buffet, you know, like nothing is wasted at a buffet if you're not in things left untasted is kind of the thing. Like um it's not it's not the kind of thing you're not missing out on anything if you're not participating. So I mean that kind of doesn't make sense, but what I just said doesn't make sense because technically you are missing out on something if you're not participating. But I mean, like if you don't know about it, you're not missing out because you don't know it's happening. It's not a thing I worry about because like if there's something I want to do and I know about it, I'm gonna either you know do it or there's gonna be something preventing me from doing it, which you know then you can't help that. But like I don't worry about stuff like you know I'm missing out on some kind of nebulous thing that I don't know about. I don't care about that stuff. It's not something I worry about. Next question: have you ever wanted to learn programming? You know, there was a brief period where I was like, I learned some programming, and I could, and like when I was a little kid, I could do a little bit of programming, like basic in not basic well basic programming in basic. But you know, it's the kind of thing where it's I think it's just not for me. It's not the kind of thing I would want to do. So like it would be helpful to know how to program things probably, but it's never something I've like ever sat down to think like, yeah, I really want to do this. Let's see. Next, if the world would end, which way would you prefer? Zombie apocalypse, demon invasion, alien attack? Um, you know, it depends on the situation, I guess. If I like I'm just myself like I am now, then I guess um zombie apocalypse would be best because like at least then I have a chance to survive. Demon invasion though, that would suck if you're just like you're a normal person. You get ripped apart and tortured or whatever, and that kind of sucks. If it were like SMT where you could capture demons though, that would be better. That one would be awesome. Alien attack would suck um, because it would be like War of the Worlds. The humans would just get destroyed. Um, so that would be awful. But unless it was like Signs or something, you remember that movie with the stupid thing? Like, why would aliens invade a planet that where water could kill them? That was like 80% water. What's the point? Whatever. But if it were like that, then who cares? If that, I mean, the world's not going to end though. And the second part of that question, would you want to be some kind of leader or would it be too troublesome for you? I wouldn't want to be a leader. I'm not a leader type. I'm more of like the useful dude who doesn't want to be part of the group. I guess like I that would probably be bad for me, but like you know, I'm I'm not good with authority, I guess. So like I wouldn't want to be an authority, but like I also wouldn't want to be under an authority because like I start to get like fuck that guy kind of mentality automatically. Um, so I don't know. So I guess I wouldn't want to do either. I want to be in the background doing stuff that might be helpful, but might not. I'd be a bad main character for a game, though. I'd be like a good NPC, though. So, next question. Do you like Monokemia? That game is so wacky, it's probably not for you. But if you played it, I'm curious about your opinion. I've never played it. It looks too wacky for me, actually. That's like pretty good idea. Too wacky for me is actually a pretty good estimation because when I looked at it, that's what I thought. Which Persona 1 do you like more? The one on PSP or the one on PS1? Same question for Persona 2. You know, I think I prefer the ones on PSP more than anything. It's easier to play stuff like that on a PS. Like if you ever try to play a first person dungeon crawler on the PS1, it's too much loading. On the PSP, it's much smoother. Its loading is faster, and it's the kind of the games that they're kind of games that are really long. So like when you play them, it's the kind of thing where you want to have that as a portable. I think like if for me like if the game is going to be really long, I want to be able to like lie down anywhere to play it or play it on the train just to be able to do short spurts when I'm out. I think that works out really well for me. So PSP all the way. Let's see. Have you read the trilogy His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman? I haven't read I haven't read the trilogy, but I think I read the first two of those, and they were all right. I didn't think they were bad. I you know I didn't particularly care that. I mean, when the movie came out, basically like ended that for the. I mean, after the first one, people were mad that it wasn't like the book, and I actually saw the movie of the like what I forgot the name of the movie. I forgot the name of those books actually, and I read two of them. That's kind of weird, but um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of hoped that they would make more of those movies, but it didn't do well enough for people to warrant making another one. But the book was okay, and I liked the characters, I liked the world, I liked the weird, church that was evil. I thought that was all good. It was good. I liked the demons in that. Like the people had their demons. That was cool. I mean I really liked the concept of that book, but like not enough to read all three, I guess. So maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought. Next, have you read Lord of the Rings? I have read Lord of the Rings. It's good. Lord of the Rings is really good to read. Um, it's like, and when you read it, there's lots of stuff that doesn't happen in the movies that happens in the books. Obviously, it's condensed in the movies, but like characters are kind of different, and lots of you know different things happen. It's like it's a bit more interesting if you read the books than if you watch the movies. The movies are great. I love those too, but I ever read Lord of the Rings, and I would recommend everybody. So let's see. Do you like any of the following bands? Joy Division, Susie and the Banshees, the Pixies, The Cure, Depeche Mode, Led Zeppelin, or My Bloody Valentine? I like Joy Division, the Pixies, The Cure, and Depeche Mode. Not Led Zeppelin, not My Bloody Valentine, and not Susie and the Banshees. Let's see. Number 12. What is your favorite author? Favorite author is, I don't know. That's a good question. Um, it's probably going to be Haruki Murakami. I just, I think I just really love his books, and like when I love the way his worlds are so weird. Um, they're like subtly weird in great ways, and I think like it's the kind of thing where it almost seems normal, and that's like the perfect kind of thing where everything seems perfectly normal except all this weird shit happens. And that's like the best kind of thing for me in my head, because like I feel like it gives you hope that the real world could actually be that way, and even though like obviously it can't. Let's see. Last question. Do you watch TV shows with dark themes like True Detective or Fargo? If not, you really should. They are good. I've never watched True Detective or Fargo, but I think Fargo might be on Amazon Video, which means I can watch it. So maybe I'll look it up. I'm I do like TV shows with dark themes, but currently I'm watching The Man in the High Castle, which I really like, and I watched Sleepy Hollow for 2 seasons, and that was pretty good. Um, so I guess I like those kinds of shows, but yeah. So also as a thing at the end, I really like how your hair is now. It looks cool, maybe because it's more natural. This is what my hair like in the video you commented on. My hair and probably this one is probably pretty similar. This is what my hair looks like when I don't like do anything to it. It's just like I shower and then like dry it and leave it. Like don't put anything in it or to change what it's doing. It looks like this. I mean, it's a little long right now. I'm probably gonna get a haircut soon. So anyway, next the Positiver is back to ask some more questions. Recently, Nintendo copyright claiming fan games that are made for free and from love. What are your thoughts on that? Well, like I understand that Nintendo has to do that for copyright law. Like it's the kind of thing where like if someone makes that kind of thing, they have to only because like if they don't, they have the chance of losing their copyright for not defending it, and that's bad for Nintendo. So I mean, like it sucks that they do that. Um, I'm sure there's. It seems like you know what they should do is actually like call up those people and be like, okay, you can't do this, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna offer you a free um like official usage of our stuff. I mean, obviously, like those like that Pokemon nuclear game or whatever it was with the nuclear Pokemon. I don't remember what it was called, but like that kind of thing probably took a long time, and it's already out. So like even though it's got a copyright claim, like you can get it. But what Nintendo might have been able to do that would have been better would have been just like call those people up and be like, okay, it's not an official game, but we're gonna give you permission to keep it going. So have fun. And it didn't. It doesn't. Like they can just claim like it's officially licensed or whatever, even though it's technically not. I mean, I don't know how they would do that, but whatever. So next, tips for playing SMT games. Don't rush and be really willing to give up your party. And what I mean is like when you play SMT games, you have to like go crazy with experimenting and try to get as many different demons as you can and try them all out. Because sometimes you find demons that look pretty weak, but they'll have like one skill that's amazing. And that's like really the key to SMT games is finding those like amazing skills and like putting them on demons you like. So if you were playing those kinds of games, like you really have to work out how the fusion works. And like in the older games, like you need a spreadsheet and they give you one they give you like a chart that you is really helpful for fusing demons. It's really necessary. And you have to like use like this kind of chart and figure out like what skills are on what and how you can move it to other different skills. It's kind of a pain, but like if you like that kind of thing like I do, it's really fun. And last question from the Positiver. You mentioned in one of the earlier Q&A parts about Kingdom Hearts that Disney is very corporate. I could probably read it, but I'm curious how much. Okay. I used to be on this real like anti-Disney kick a long time ago, like, and it's not like virulently anti-Disney because like I feel like Disney started out with a good idea when Walt Disney was alive. Like he had, like he started Disneyland, and the idea behind the prices was like, it's the kind of place where like anybody can come. It's not so expensive. It's like kind of the land of dreams for everybody. And then like after that it became like super expensive. There's all this stuff, and then like you've got places like Disney World in Florida is like its own town, which I think a lot of people don't know. But like Orlando is in Disneyland is in Orlando. It's actually not in Orlando. It's in like its own township, like, which gives it all this kind of weird power that other like places wouldn't have. But they have like their Disneyland, Disney World has its own fire department. Like, uh, it's that kind of thing where, and there was like all these kind of weird charges against them for like all kinds of weird hazing and abuse of in the fire department, like stuff like that. And there's things like there's all these like things like people die at Disney World all the time. Like they get ground up in machines and shit. And like there, you can find things where like people have like died on It's a Small World After All and stuff. Like how do you die on that? But people have, and like the rides will stop for like 30 minutes or something. Like they don't. It's just like the ultra fast cleanup, and back to grinding up more people. That kind of stuff. It's just that kind of stuff where like Disney like rubs me the wrong way in a lot of ways, but you know, currently they're just like it's just a huge corporation. It's not it's not the same kind of company based on the kind of ideals that Walt Disney had to make these things, and that includes like it basically like anything like after Walt Disney died. So it's the kind of thing where I feel like they haven't they've kind of lost the plot in terms of what Walt Disney actually wanted. And I obviously like what Walt Disney wanted wasn't like to be a major corporation. He wanted to make cartoons and bring kind of like happiness and joy to people, and that's not what Disney is about now. Now they're just kind of like, let's make it billions. And they do. And they do good stuff. It's not like they don't do good stuff. It's not about the content of their products. It's just about the mentality of their corporation. So, I don't know, that's it. But this is the final question of the Q&A. Next one from Christian Olvera. And it's the worst question because I have no answer to it. So the final question is actually, what's your opinion on Final Fantasy 15? I have not played Final Fantasy 15, so I have no opinion. But I am going to play it eventually. Not anytime soon, though. Maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, I might play it. I don't know. I'm going to wait for it to get cheap, though, because I'm not paying full price for it. And, I've heard it's good. I've heard people raving about it. I've heard people also complaining about it. So, I don't know. I'm hoping it's going to be good. I hope it's good enough so that I can like Final Fantasy again. If it's not, then okay, fine. I just won't buy any more Final Fantasy games. But yeah, Final Fantasy 15, I'm going to play it. That's my thoughts. I'm going to play it eventually and see how it is. But for right now, I have no real opinion because I haven't touched it. So that's it. The end of the Q&A. The end of the 2016 Q&A. Right at the end of the last month of 2016. So this lasted hundreds of questions. It's like over 20 hours. It's a lot of Q&A. So thanks everyone for asking questions, and I'm gonna go back to doing other stuff. Of course, more impressions videos coming soon. Yakuza 6 impressions video, and I'm gonna try to do a bit of a intermittent podcast thing like this. It's not gonna be Q&A exclusive, but I will accept more questions for it. So even though what I said at the beginning of the video was like, don't ask more questions, you can actually ask more questions, but it's not going to be all Q&A. I'm going to talk about some random topics. If you guys got topic suggestions, you can do that too. I'll talk about random topics, maybe answer a couple of questions, and it'll be like a hour-long kind of podcast thing that I do when I feel like doing it. Not exactly weekly, but not exactly monthly or so intermittent that you guys forget it exists. So that'll be it. Thanks everybody. See you next time.